Republican Georgia Senate candidate, former NFL player, Heisman Trophy winner. Good to see you today, and a lot to get to. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on.
I want to get your initial reaction to some of the numbers. And you heard Peter Doocy and I just now going back and forth. We know that there were north of 18,000 people under that bridge in Del Rio, Texas. And Peter pointed out, well, the numbers don't match up to what we're now being told. 3,200 released in the United States with special orders to make sure you get to the courthouse on this specific date. Don't know if that would ever happen. And they've deported about 1,700. So what about all of the other thousands of people? I mean, it leaves your head scratched, right? I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, you got to get the truth. They're not telling you the truth, and you really don't know. And I know for a fact, because I had an opportunity as I was doing some of my visits around the state of Georgia in my listening session, talking to some of the police here, that Atlanta has been flooded with drugs from them not securing the border. And I think that's, first of all, what we got to find out. Let's get back to the basics. The basics are, should we have secured borders? And we do. And we got to do something about it. But we got to vet people, first of all, that's coming into this country. We have rules in this country that we got to go by. But I think we are getting people in our elected office that's not being held accountable. And I think that's the first thing that we have to do, is start holding people accountable. They're not telling you the truth. They're not giving you the numbers. So what can you go by? And I think the people also need to go down there and with the people that has authority and see what's really going on. If you don't visit, you can't sit on your couch in your house in Washington making decisions. You can't just go down there one time and start making news spots saying what's going on. Visit the people down there and find out what's going on. And that's when I think you can give a good educated answer.
You point that out, as we are learning from our own reporter, Peter Doocy, at the White House press briefings, that the president, it appears, has never been there. And we know as a senator formerly and as a candidate, Kamala Harris has been there. But during the border crisis, she hasn't gone to. These are live pictures, by the way, in Del Rio, Texas. There's still thousands of people on the ground there. Senators Kennedy and Cruz going after Biden and Harris on their handling of the border. Let's watch.
I can't think of a single presidential administration that has broken more plates in its first 9 months. Of all of the president's screw-ups, there's not a single one greater than the crisis at the border.
They insist these problems aren't happening. As long as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris refuse to apply the law, it's going to keep getting worse.
Herschel, more from you.
Well, what's sad here, why are we still going over this? We've been going over the border problem for a long, long time. We've been going over so many of these problems for a long, long time, and no one seemed to be wanting to solve them. Everyone put them to the side and just go to something else. This is a serious, serious problem to this country, and I think we got to get leaders that's going to address it, that's going to stay on it. And I hate to use this phrase here, going to stay on it like a bulldog. You got to stay on this and get it solved. And I think that's when you're going to get answer. And that's what I decided I was going to run, because I got sick of it. I got sick of hearing things that I knew was not the truth. I got sick of seeing people that they're getting sad, they're losing faith in this country. And that's the reason I said, guys, let's go back to the basics. The basics are, when you get elected into office, do you love this country first? And if you love this country, you're going to fight for it. Right now, there's a problem at the border. So why is the president not down there? Why is the vice president not down there? And we don't want congressmen or senators just to sit in Washington making decisions without talking to the people that got authority that's down there doing the work. And I think that's what we got to have people doing, is getting down there and seeing what's going on.
Herschel Walker breaking it down. There's growing outrage now from Democrats, Herschel, over the treatment of Haitian migrants, and lawmakers are calling out what they're describing is an unequal or uneven racial treatment in the immigration system. Congresswoman Maxine Waters went after President Biden and made an extreme comparison. Watch this.
I'm not just unhappy with the cowboys who were running down Haitians and using their reins to whip them. I'm happy with the administration. What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys with their reins again, whipping black people, Haitians.
I'll add this quickly. The NAACP now is requesting a meeting with President Biden citing the treatment of the Haitian migrants. Herschel, your first thoughts, and then I have a quick follow-up, because we know that this president courted the black community. And he said people who were black who didn't vote for him weren't really black. Remember when he said that? Your thoughts?
Well, have you noticed that everything got to come down to race? Why we always want to bring everything down to race? You know, what is happening is people are crossing the border, people are coming into the border illegally, and that's one thing that I said early on. We got to first decide whether we want to have border control. There are rules to get into this country. And then I think we need to go to the people that has authority and see what is really going on, not just look at a sound bite, or not just take a sound bite. And I think she was correct in blame this administration because they are to blame because they don't want to get down there and do anything about it. Well, don't start looking at one sound bite to make yourself look good on TV. Why are you not down there, not just for an hour, but for a little bit of time to see what's really going on and not bring race? Let's quit this separation. Until we can bring unity, which is what I want to do, bring unity into this country, we're going to have these problems. So that's the reason I said elect people that are talking about unity, elect people that's talking about the United States of America. I'm talking about Georgia. Elect people that's talking about representing what you go to office to do, not just to have sound bites, not just to look good, but to go down there to do work.
I want to get to this today, already this morning. Senator Raphael Warnock scoffed when he was asked about former President Trump rallying with you, Herschel, this weekend in Georgia. You're talking about your state there that you're running in. He responded to that question with, God bless him, and a little laughter. What's your response?
Well, you know, I'm glad. Well, you know what's so funny? I'm glad he said, God bless me, because, you know, that's what I want God to do is bless me, because I love the Lord Jesus Christ. But what was so funny about it is one of his donors, a donor that get a letter from him, had a letter that it quoted, that it said, Trump chosen one is now in the race, so you must give me more money. Well, it is funny how they didn't mention Herschel Walker, and that's who he was talking about. Well, they were talking about Herschel Walker is getting in the race, because I want people to know I want to bring unity here. I do love the Lord Jesus Christ. I love America. I love the state of Georgia. I love law and order. But I want people to go to teamherschel.com and let's change this country. Let's change the state of Georgia.
And you will be rallying, that the president, the former president, Trump, will be with you this Saturday, I believe. One thing that you said, just real quickly, you said that you had been doing police listening sessions on the ground and seeing the drug trade and the cartels already have an impact on Georgia. And I'm hearing that from governors. We had several on yesterday across this nation. So when we bring you back, Herschel, I want to know more about what you've been doing with law enforcement, because they are in the center of this, along with the Border Patrol and now National Guard. Good to see you on the program. Thank you for being in focus.
Well, you know, I'm thanking the president for his endorsement, but Herschel Walker is running this campaign here. I'm here to represent the state of Georgia. And, you know, as I was talking to law enforcement, you know, it's sad. It's sad that we've demonized the police, but we've made heroes out of the criminals. Well, I think Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago, no one is talking about that. She decided, you know, I got to quit defunding the police and start funding the police, because she knows what she was doing was not working. And I think that's very, very important, and people need to take note of that.
Herschel Walker, we will bring you back. Thank you very much. Good to see you.